earthquake yesterday. They're doing a full assessment. Last I heard, they're starting back up today. Chief, you have any additional information?
That's correct.
Okay. That's the status of it at this point. We know of no damage that they've had.
Where's the worst damage you've seen here in the downtown area?
It's mainly centered around the area between Broadway and Cherry to Moses. There's a 2-block area there, and then probably from Central down to Noble, another 3 or 4 block area. We had one building, a good portion of the back wall came off, probably 75, 80 feet by 10 or 15 feet. Other buildings had some substantial damage. We have a housing authority property down there that took substantial damage, an elderly housing unit. Those people were evacuated yesterday and are under the care of Red Cross right now.
How long do you guys plan to have parts of the downtown area closed, and what do you want to say to the residents that are watching right now and throughout the day?
Sure, we want to assure the residents that we have everything under control. We're keeping the downtown area until we can get it cleared. Our gas providers in the area now doing a total sweep of the area to make sure there's no gas leaks. Also, we have a structural engineer coming in. We'll do some assessments to make sure there's no danger from falling debris. As soon as we get those things taken care of, then we will, allow access to downtown. But it could be a day or two before all those buildings are assessed.
Can you help us understand what substantial damage means? And we're talking old, these are mostly older buildings, is that, for someone not from the area? Can you help us?
Yes, sir. The majority of these buildings are early 1900. And then we look at this building, it has damage. There's a lot of cracks in this building if you start looking closely. We have a brand new public safety building, was built about 5 or 6 years ago. It has substantial damage. When I say substantial damage, to me is, major cracks. We're talking about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch cracks. Pieces of the facade has come off into the street, especially downtown, some of the older buildings. The parapet walls have fell into the street, and then there's a couple of buildings that actually some of the facing the facade has come off and fallen.
And one more question. In this early assessment, can we say that these buildings will be inhabitable and need to come down? Or?
I think it's well too early to say. Till we have a structural engineer to really look at and determine what the structural condition of it is. A lot of it is, like I said, facade is superficial type stuff, but the cracks, things, that's movement of foundations, movement of walls. Until we get an assessment, I don't want to speculate on that.
Do you know how many people were evacuated?
I believe, Jeremy, you want to answer that one?
We were required to evacuate the Cimarron Tower and all of its residents. There are roughly 45 single rooms with totaling probably 45 to 50 individuals that were evacuated.
Steve, some people live downtown Cushing. Is the damage to them, the rest of them even worse?
We do have several upper story housing projects downtown, residents. I don't know, some of their buildings were damaged. I don't know how extensive the damage is inside the buildings, haven't been inside the buildings. From what I've seen, at least 1 or 2 of them does have some major concerns as far as interior walls, cracks, things like that.
Do you plan on asking for help from the Homeland Security Office or any other federal inspectors?
Yes, I'm happy to say we have the state FEMA here, Steve Palladino with the states here to help us. Mr. Ashford told me today, so we're getting outside help. As we get assessments made, determine the extent of the damage, we'll have a better idea of just how much help we're going to need from the state agencies.
And they'll be able to give you some money to help offset those costs and damages?
That's our hope. If you've got influence there, we'd appreciate you providing that.
Smile and wave.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys are in recovery mode, but I don't think it's too soon to look ahead to what would you do if this were to happen again. Are you guys re-looking into emergency plans?
We'll always take and evaluate, have an instant critical assessment afterwards, so we will be doing that after things calm down, always trying to improve. Again, I'm very proud of the response that we've had. I do believe we're well prepared. There's just so much you can do in terms of preparedness, and basically just try to stabilize the incident initially and then we go into recovery, and we're going to be in recovery for, like I say, for several weeks. But anytime you have any type of disaster, you've got to learn from that to be better for the next one.
What can you tell us about the damage to the Public Safety Center?
I'll let Chief talk to that, one of the chiefs, because they actually housed in that building, and I was there briefly.
I've only been to the Public Safety Center briefly since the event started last night. I do know that we had a gas leak that was inside the building. I know that currently gas is shut off. We also have multiple water leaks that are in there, some of which have been repaired, some of which have not. We did lose the majority of our ceiling, came down. I also know that we do have some facade issues where it's come off of the exterior of the building, and those type of things currently going on at the building.
Okay, just an official statement from you guys. Any injuries to report as a result of this?
Chris, you want to take that one, please?
Fortunately, last night till today, we've only had one injury. It was a walk-in to the Public Safety Center, and we were able to help him and then get him to the hospital. And that's the only injury we had during this event. So
Hit with a brick or what happened?
he was unaware of what happened. He had a laceration to his arm. Of course, some people lost power as soon as we had the earthquake. So they had the earthquake. He was trying to get out of his house. Something got him on the arm, and he had a laceration on his arm. So we took care of him and moved him on to the hospital, and that was the only injury we've had.
Chief Foreman, has there been any looting or anything of that nature?
No, not downtown. We were able to keep staff downtown throughout the night, and we maintained those. We had several broken windows down there. That was a big concern of people going into those. Besides our guys that were out doing normal patrol, we were able to staff that down there with the assistance of Shawnee PD, Sac and Fox Tribal Police, our own officers, as well as Payne County Sheriff's officers and emergency management, both Payne and Lincoln County.
Are you still encouraging people not to venture downtown then?
Exactly. If they don't have any business to be downtown, we would encourage them to stay away. Allow the people that do have businesses down there to come in and try to assess their properties. Makes it easier on us. I know everybody wants to see the damage, but it really causes a lot of traffic conditions for us to try to deal with. So if they can help us out by staying away, look at the news media and see what they need to see on that you guys are going to give them.
What's the protocol for our businesses, how long we're gonna be out of them? Because I know I have one down there, and we've been entered in once, but we had about 10 minutes. And it's hard for us to assess our damage before we get someone out there. And it's behind the police line, and we have, a lot of social security. I'm a loan officer, and we can't get in there to get our computer systems out to protect that confidentiality. How long can we get to get at least a truck in there to get those computers out?
If you're a business owner, you need downtown, if you'll coordinate that with the police chief, we'll get you in whatever time you need, assuming your building's safe. I'd do a quick look yourself, and then if it looks like there's damage that could be life-threatening, then you need to get an engineer or somebody to assess it first. But we'll be glad to work with you if you'll get with one of the officers. Make sure that you have some credentials that you can show this is your business. We'll be glad to get you in and whatever time you need to be in the business. The quarantine or downtown or to try to keep people out is for your protection.
Yeah,
So-
we have a side of our building that has structural
They've got
damage,
structural
but
damage.
Okay,
we can't get a vehicle there close enough to actually load up.
okay.
And,
If you'll coordinate with the policemen, officers, they will be glad to try to assist you, and we'll do everything we can as long as we're keeping you safe to be able to get to what you need.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Steve, can you tell us what the procedure is when you go into a building and how I know whenever I can go back into my own building?
That's a good question, because I don't want to give you bad advice, but I think anytime we have this type of shaking and movement, I would look up first, make sure there's something that's not going to be coming down on top of you. If it is, then I would make sure that that's removed safely before you go in. Glass, we got a lot of broken glass around. Make sure you don't have window panes up high that could possibly move and fall on you and cut you. Just some common sense type stuff. And then structurally, you can tell how much damage by the size of the crack and things like that if the building's unstable. Some doors, you can't even open them because of the movement. So that would be a real quick indicator. If I can't get my door open, I probably shouldn't go in that building.
Screws out today, back in tomorrow?
I have not heard, but it is out today. They had a lot of damage also, roof, just debris and type stuff. I haven't had a chance to talk with the superintendent of schools as to what his plans are for tomorrow. As soon as we know, we'll try to let y'all know.
Any idea or word if Governor Fallon will make her way out here?
I don't know. I know that she has contacted our state rep, Lee Denny, and offered any assistance she could provide. So I do not know the answer to that.
What do you know about damage to the theater?
Again, I have not been inside. I understand that, there was a movie in progress whenever the earthquake happened. We did have some ceiling tile, and that building came down on some of the people that was in there, and so they evacuated that building. But I do not know the extent of the damage inside. Anything to add to that, Chief?
Steve, how many buildings have you all been inside?
I have not been inside any of them myself. My view so far has been external. We will start interior, views once we get a little further down the road. Obviously, we don't just go in people's buildings without having the owner there, so we haven't coordinated that effort yet. Other than the evacuation of the towers, and obviously I wasn't involved in that. Our police and firemen took care of that. If that's all, we appreciate y'all and appreciate you getting our message out. And yes, ma'am.
Oil production, the drilling stopped, and how about rubber milling? Did they continue to work or not?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering about our people.
sure. Our rubber milling's up and running this morning, I noticed.
I live right up next to it.
Hmm?
That's what it does. Is it going to be okay to let our rubber milling continue and the drilling? The drillers, the oil, is everything okay with the drilling? Has the drilling stopped, or are we still producing?
I don't know as far as they've shut in the wells yet. I haven't heard anything from the Corporation Commission. That's totally controlled outside of City Hall. The Corporation Commission is the one that's in charge of that aspect of it. Same way with drilling. To my knowledge, it is. They were up and running this morning, and so as far as I know, they're fine. Yes, ma'am.
Steve, is the hospital intact?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was one of the first things that we checked on, obviously, and I believe they did not receive any major damage at all.
How many people had small injuries? Do you know anything about injuries?
We, to my knowledge, the chief addressed that a little bit earlier, but we had one person that came in with a laceration on his arm. That's the only injury we know of to date. We're very fortunate along that line. If you could have been walking downtown at a busy time of day, we could have had a lot worse situation.
Here's I have one more question. Which agencies are assessing the damage right now, the names of each one?
As far as the public buildings, we have our own engineer that did a lot of our design work. Larry McCool and Associates will be in helping us. We're having a meeting after this meeting to try to make arrangements to have either some people from the state come in or some private contractors. We don't know yet as far as who's going to go in and actually assess the buildings in terms of a structural engineer.
Steve, one more question, sir. Is it going to be 13 million for the whole thing? I mean, I've read the material. Is that what we're after, is 13 million?
I have no idea as to. I don't know where that number came from. It's not something that we've published. Yes, but I don't know that's the validity of that. But we will take a look at it.
Oh, okay, well, I can't give you that. There's copies, that's for Gary. Yeah, they're up front, sir. I'm sorry, I just read a lot.
Okay, very good.
The numbers I've already, yeah.
We'll be glad to take a look at it. Yes, ma'am.
Steve, do we know how many people are sheltered down at the youth center?
As Jeremy said earlier, we had about 45 people to 50 that we actually evacuated. A lot of them have family members within the community, and those family members, have offered shelter to those folks. I'm not honestly sure how many exactly people that took advantage of the shelter at the Red Cross.
of this morning at 4, there were 8.
We have 8 people right now. The other ones have been able to find family members to stay with temporarily.
How many people, not from Cimarron Tower, but from other places, homes in Cushing, have been displaced?
I know of no other homes that's been displaced. We've got a call line for our citizens to call in if they have damage to the building inspection department, that they'll talk to them. 918-306.
306-4151.
4151, 918-306-4151. If you have damage to your structure, if you call that number, get on a list, and then we'll be working with those folks.
How many blocks downtown have you cordoned off?
Just a rough guess, about 16.
Really, that many? 16 blocks? What do you estimate the damage dollar-wise?
We don't know yet.
That's
Maybe 16's too strong.
It'd be close.
Close, yeah. Okay.
There was a building downtown torn down a few months ago that had earthquake damage.
Yes, yes.
Is there anything that can be done to protect the other historic buildings from having more damage like this?
I'm sure there is. I'm not really qualified, I don't think, to answer that, but it's like anything else. The design standards of 1900, we didn't even consider earthquakes. You know, California might have, but we didn't. So at this point, going back in and making substantial changes to those structures, I don't know if it's economically feasible.
Is the worst damage to the Cimarron Tower?
I would say probably not,
Really?
but it could be until we have an assessment of those. It's hard to tell. There's other buildings that have substantial damage too.
Which are the worst?
The old news press office is pretty bad. The current news press, the Citizens Office, took substantial damage. Help me out, Chief.
The Lions Club would be another one that's got some substantial damage on the front.
The building next door the Beasley's had, where they tore down that building. Not
The
sure what's in
building
there.
on,
I think it's vacant.
yeah, it's a vacant building on the 100 block of North Cleveland.
Part of
It's
the
got-
wall at the top has come off.
The post office is intact?
Yes, ma'am, appears to be.
You know, this is a polling place
Yes.
tomorrow,
Well-
so what are you gonna do?
We'll try to have it open. We'll make a decision here real quick, yes. We've got glass broke up front. We don't want people walking underneath. We'll be getting that out today and either repaired or temporarily repaired. So I really don't see an issue of having this open tomorrow for polling as normal.
You think it'll happen?
Yes, ma'am.
That's impressive. Okay.
Just for clarification, the extent of the damage on the cold storage facility or assessment, where do we stand right now?
To my knowledge, and, you know, I have not talked directly with those. We've had our own issues. The majority of our oil facilities are outside the city limits. They did shut down operations last night after the earthquake to do their assessment. They did their assessment last night and today. I do not know if they've started back up operations, but they'll do an assessment to make sure there's nothing wrong before they continue their operations.
That's standard procedure, right?
That's standard procedure in place for any type of disaster. Thank you.